welcome once again to another interesting and exciting edition of Straight Talk with Pastor Seun. I'm always excited to have you here with me. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, today I'm talking about, a topic that I know is very important to every one of us because yes, sometimes or, most times we are all guilty of it. And that's what we call procrastination. I'm going to be, explaining what it means and, what the Bible talks about it and how we can avoid or how we can, make sure that we do the things that we have to do when we have to do them. Now, what does it mean to procrastinate? It says it's an action or act of delaying or postponing to do something. It's people avoiding their responsibilities and therefore suffering the consequences, because when you procrastinate, there will always be a consequence for it. And then, so many people will say, oh yeah, I procrastinate because, I didn't have the time, I was busy. But if you really ask me, and if you want to be true to yourself and honest with yourself, procrastination is usually, caused simply by laziness. A lot of us, we are lazy about the things that we have to do. And that's why, we procrastinate or we don't do things when we have to do them. Yeah, I'm not denying the fact that sometimes, poor time management might be a cause of it, and the ability to, to set your priorities right can also be a cause of procrastination. But most times, laziness is the reason why we procrastinate. Let me say, for example, I like to use this example a lot because usually it applies to me because sometimes I'm lazy. Let's say someone who wants to get into shape. You want to, keep in shape. But you're lazy to work on yourself. You're lazy to, to go to the gym, or lazy to, take some time out to work out. And that's what happens. We keep, putting it off. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start tomorrow. And before you know it, time is gone. That is a typical example of procrastination. The reason why you didn't do it is simply because you are lazy. I've found somebody, I've heard someone come to me and say, oh, I really want to do something. Sometimes I have plans to do this, but, I don't get to do them. And I simply but honestly tell them and say, look, you are just lazy. Until you are able to understand this fact about yourself, then you will still continue to procrastinate and never get anything done. Let's look at some scripture readings about procrastination. Proverbs chapter 13, verses 4 says, a lazy person may want something, but he will not get it. A person who does a lot of work will receive many good things. In other words, if you're lazy, you will not get anything done. It's simple and plain. So you have to work on your mindset and say, look, if you want to get something done, do it and, cut off the laziness and do it. Another scripture reading is also taken from the book of Proverbs as well, chapter 18 and verse 9. It says, he also that is slothful, to be slothful means to be lazy, he also that is slothful in his work is brother to him that is a great waster. See how the Bible defines a lazy person. Is a waster because you waste your time, you don't do what you have to do, and then you don't get anything done. So that's what being lazy, lazy. So you can, in other words, you can say laziness and procrastination, they work hand in hand, because if you're lazy, you always push things off. You always not get things done. So you have to, be conscious of that fact. So how do you cure it, or how do you avoid being, procrastinating on things? One thing is, you have to work on yourself. One of the scriptures that I want to, read to help us emphasize this is taken from the book of Ephesians chapter 5, and I'll be reading from verse 15 to 16. I'll be reading the Amplified version. It says, therefore, see that you walk carefully, that is, living life with honor, purpose, and courage, shunning those who tolerate and enable evil, not as the unwise, but as the wise, sensible, intelligent, discerning people, making the very most, this is where I'm actually going to, making the very most of your time on earth, recognizing and taking advantage of each opportunity and using it with wisdom and diligence, because the days are filled with evil. You see, you have to make you have to make most of your time. You have to use your time wisely. So you have to tell yourself that, look, this is the time for me to do this thing. I have to, get on my feet and do it, and then work on it and make sure that you achieve it. Another thing is that, you have to accept, to cure this, like we're talking about the cure. Firstly, you have to accept that you are being lazy. If nobody can tell you that, you can tell yourself. You have to recognize the fact that you are being lazy, and that, that the only thing holding you back from you achieving what you have to achieve is laziness. Secondly, you have to recognize that you are living your life for Christ, and that He has placed in your hands the ability to achieve or be able to achieve the things that you have to achieve. I'll read from the book of Colossians chapter 3 verses 23. It says, whatever you do, whatever your task may be, I'm reading the Amplified Version, work from the soul, that is, put in your very best efforts as something done for the Lord and not for men. See, you have to understand that this time that God has given unto you is precious. So recognize that you're using your time for God. Everything you're doing for God. Even if it's your job, you're given a task at your work to achieve. Instead of you putting it away and say, oh, I'll do it when I have the time. Do it now, because whatever you do, even though it might seem insignificant, it might look so tiny, whatever you do, you're doing it for God. So recognize that fact. Thirdly, you have to learn to manage your time. Very easy. You can make a list and say, okay, this is what I have to do. This is when I want to do. Or you can, put a sticker note. There are some sticker notes you can just put, okay, by so time I have to have this done. I have to have done. And also set an alarm. Most of us will have, all these electronic devices. You can set an alarm for yourself, so that, what you have to do, you will be able to do it. So whatever option works for you, decide to it, and you must stick to it, because it is important. The book of James chapter 4 verse 13 to 14 says, some of you say, today or tomorrow we will go to a certain city. We will stay there for a year. We will buy and sell things. We will become rich. If you say things like that, listen to me, you do not really know what will happen tomorrow. Your life is like a cloud which appears for a short time and then quickly goes away. In other words, you might be making plans for tomorrow and say, oh, I'll do this thing tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow, when you don't know if tomorrow you'll be here to do those things. So you have that opportunity to do those things now. Make sure that you do them now. Make sure that, you remove procrastination from your mind, from your life, and from your thinking. You have to be, certain that, look, I want to get this done, and I have to get this done. Like I said, number one, recognize that the only reason why you are procrastinating is because you're lazy. Number two, recognize that everything that you do, you're doing it for God. Whatever, no matter how little the time is, you're doing it for God. So make the good use of that time that He has given unto you. And three, set out ways. You can, like I said, you could get a sticky note. You can write down notes. You can, get an alarm, make a list. Those are the ways that you can effectively get the things that you need to be done. Remember that a lazy man cannot become rich. Nope. No matter how much you pray to become rich, if you don't do the things that you have to do now, you will not achieve the things that you have to achieve. So thank you once again for being a part of this program. As you go into a new week, be determined in your mind not to procrastinate. Get those things that you need to get done, and you'll see great results. Thank you so much, and have a blessed rest of your day. God bless you. Bye-bye.